Vice President Kamala Harris is meeting with Israeli opposition leader and wartime cabinet member Benny Gantz at the White House today. The meeting comes just a day after the vice president called for an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Gaza. Let's bring in CBS News senior White House correspondent Ed O'Keefe to discuss more about the meeting. Ed, talk to us about what the purpose and the hopes are for the outcome of this meeting.
Lily, Benny Gantz is a member of Prime Minister Netanyahu's wartime cabinet, seen as a centrist rival to the prime minister, and he's on a visit here to Washington, later going to the United Kingdom for similar meetings to try to get a sense of how leaders in those countries are feeling. The vice president was asked earlier today about what she hopes this meeting can accomplish. Let's take a listen to what she said.
Well, we're going to discuss a number of things in terms of the priorities that certainly we have, which includes getting a hostage deal done, getting aid in, and then getting that 6-week ceasefire. You know, the president and I have been very clear that Israel has a right to defend itself, that we have got to make sure that innocent civilians aren't being killed, and that we've got to get these hostages out. And that is one of the highest priorities right now we have. And I'll tell you, the president has been an extraordinary leader in getting us to this point that we have the 6-week deal. And so Hamas needs to do this thing, as I talked about yesterday in Selma.
Those comments earlier today here in Washington came after she gave a forceful call for Israel to launch a 6-week ceasefire on Sunday in Selma, Alabama, marking the Bloody Sunday March there. Those comments earned notable attention because of how forceful she was in denouncing Israel's decision to block humanitarian aid into Gaza. Let's put it that way. But let's also take a listen to what she said on Sunday.
And given the immense scale of suffering in Gaza, there must be an immediate ceasefire. For at least the next 6 weeks, which is what is currently on the table. This will get the hostages out and get a significant amount of aid in. This would allow us to build something more enduring, to ensure Israel is secure, and to respect the right of the Palestinian people to dignity, freedom, and self-determination.
That response there when she said there needs to be a ceasefire and the pause before saying of at least 6 weeks was notable, because there's obviously a policy distinction there. An immediate ceasefire would be a departure from what the Biden administration has been pushing for. 6 weeks is what it wants, at least 6 weeks. It's expected that's what she's reiterating today. Benny Gantz also set to meet Lilia with the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, top Mideast envoy Brett McGurk, and then he's headed up to the Capitol to meet with Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell as well.
Ed, is there any expectation that the president is going to meet or at least be on a call with Benny Gantz? And if not, why not?
We're waiting to hear, Lilia. A good question, because he is spending the day at Camp David with senior advisors as they prepare for Thursday's State of the Union address. So today's mostly about speech prep. Whether he calls in, zooms into the meeting, participates in some other way, we'll see, and we probably will not learn about it until later. Part of the reason he's at least not on the official schedule is the idea that Benny Gantz, of course, is not Prime Minister of Israel, not the President of Israel. So you wouldn't necessarily see the President put somebody who's not a contemporary on his official schedule. But don't be surprised if later today we hear he somehow participated in this meeting from Camp David.
One thing that, other than that call for an immediate ceasefire of at least 6 weeks, that has perhaps shifted the approach of the U.S. was the first airdropped aid directly into Gaza. It's significant for many reasons. Talk to us about just the significance of the drop, especially when we're talking about Israel as an ally of the United States that is preventing other aid from getting in, that is threatening to push even further and into Rafah. What message does that send from the administration, and is the administration expecting to send more aid and change its tune further?
Well, the airdrops are expected to continue for the time being. Each one of those, if it's food, is only dropping about 38,000 meals into a strip that is home to more than, or at least at its height was home to more than 2 million. These are expensive operations. Those that monitor humanitarian relief and the need for it in places like Gaza would say it's not the most effective way. But certainly from a visual standpoint, from a PR standpoint, both domestically and internationally, it's a signal that the United States is doing what it can to help. That this footage at all was released is designed to assuage concerns here at home and around the world that the United States is ignoring the humanitarian plight of those living in Gaza. But the fact that it has to happen at all is a signal that Israel isn't listening to the United States and other allies saying you've got to open up those humanitarian corridors to allow more aid, as many as 500 trucks a day, to get into Gaza and give the relief needed.
Ed O'Keefe, thank you.